Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, listeners. This is your host, Andy Curry, and today I am so excited to have on the line with me Jim Cathcart. Jim has been speaking for an astounding 39 years full-time. The content he speaks on is business motivation. Jim is based out of Thousand Oaks, California, and he has done a TEDx speech where the video has recently hit 400,000 views, which puts that in the top, I think he said 5 or 10%. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Jim has written 16 books. He has 2 international bestsellers. One is called Relationship Selling. The other one is called The Acorn Principle. Jim, we are so glad to have you on the program. Welcome.
Hey, it's good to be with you, Andy. I appreciate that, and I love talking to business innovators.
We now I said the TEDx video hit 400,000, and that was in the top 5% or 10%. I forget what you said.
Well, both, because it's in the top 1%.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
Okay. While we're on the TED thing, let's talk about that for a second. What was the speech on?
It was on how to believe in yourself. Everybody tells you you should, but very few people tell you how. So I figured if I'd offer some insights on that, it would be helpful. And sure enough, it kind of went viral.
That's a great topic. Now, when did you do that? How long ago?
I did it about 1.5 years ago.
Okay. Now, I happen to know enough about the TED speeches that you just don't call them up and say, hey, I want to do that. It's quite a rigorous process.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
And congratulations on that. You've really got it, to get in there, not only to speak, but to hit 400,000 views. That's fantastic.
Thank you. And the cool thing is, it all happened without my involvement. I not the speech, of course, but the video views. Mm-hmm. All I've done is send out a few notices to my Facebook and LinkedIn fans and things like that once in a while, but no big promotion. And I haven't spent a single penny in promoting it. And yet it has caught on. I remember, over 1 year ago when I was excited it was going to hit 1,000 views. Yeah. And then 10,000, and then 100,000. Now then, 400,000 won't be long. At that rate, it's going to be 500,000. And that's just cool to know that people are getting value from my message somewhere else in the world that I never would have met them otherwise.
Right. And what a great topic, too. I know that that topic is on so many people's hearts and minds. That's a great topic you chose.
Yeah. And the trouble, this is the thing, Andy. People always say, you got to believe in yourself. Well, okay, good. And step 1 is? Well, no, you just got to believe in yourself. Well, what are give me the toolkit for believing in myself. And they say, no, you don't get it. You just have to believe in yourself. In other words, they have no clue how to answer. So I thought, well, that's worth researching. And so I did some research on it, and I came to some conclusions that I begin by offering in that little 8-minute TEDx video.
Now, is that part of what you also do when you give talks on business motivation?
Yeah, occasionally I incorporate that because depending on the topic I'm addressing, that's a very relevant item.
Okay.
I just got back from a tour of China. The most exciting speaking tour of all 39 years of my 3,000 speeches around the world. I was in China in July of 2015 and went to 3 major cities. Went to Shanghai, Chengdu, and Guangzhou. Now, most people say, where? Chengdu and Guangzhou, and each one of those is over 20 million people, and they're beautiful, thriving cities. As a matter of fact, in Chengdu, they have the largest building in the world. It's a humongous mall called the Global Center, and it's got a beach that you can surf on the waves indoors. It's got a 1,000-foot-long television screen. It has a shopping mall, a 999-room hotel, and on and on and on.
Holy
my
cow.
Gosh. Who knew?
That's amazing. Now, does what you say translate well over there?
Well, it does, except for the fact that that's a communist country. You know, they don't have the freedoms we have. But, you know, all people are organisms, and all people have a spirit, and that spirit wants to be free.
Right.
So, you know, the same fundamental rules apply to everyone.
So you were teaching business motivation over there?
I was. I did a day. Each one was a 6-hour day for about 1,000 people in each case. And I did one day on public speaking and another day on leadership and self-motivation. And then I did another one on relationship selling.
Okay. Well, that is fascinating. Now, when you're giving talks over here, there in America, let's talk about some of the things you're telling people. I know we've got some of your topics going on, but tell us some of the things you're teaching them that make a difference in their lives.
Well, the first thing is it's not that complicated to learn how to succeed. A lot of people are intimidated by that, and they don't feel like they're worthy, which is why I came up with that how to believe in yourself topic. But anyone can succeed. All you have to do is determine what you want. In other words, what constitutes success. And then start acquiring the traits that will make you magnetic or attractive to that future. So when I was an overweight, out of shape guy with no college degree, no money, no connections, and no known skills, I said, I want to be a motivational speaker, but I had no idea what that meant. I just knew that it was exciting. And Earl Nightingale was the guy on the radio that inspired me. And I said, I want to be like him, but I didn't know what that meant. So I just started studying the field of human development. And I did so fanatically, and I mean textbook definition fanatically, to where that's all I wanted to think about, talk about, or be around for like 5 consecutive years. And my world transformed because the friends of mine who weren't interested in motivation and success kind of drifted away, and new people were attracted to me. And as I developed new skills and new insights, and as I read yet another book or listened to an audio program or went to a seminar, I started accumulating more and more of the traits I needed in order to succeed. And so everything I was doing, even when I was working as a government clerk for $500 a month, I started succeeding at it like nobody around me. And so I got promoted, and then I got promoted again. And then I got a job offer outside of that. And then I went into the field of personal development and started working for others. And then a few years after that, I had my own business, and I was flying around the world making high speaking fees.
And you said you spoke 3,000 speeches so far, roughly. That is amazing.
That's certainly a lot.
Sure
and
is.
I've spoken, I mean, imagine the circumstances I've spoken at, because I started out 400 speeches for no fee after work, on weekends and holidays, and in my spare time, speaking for civic clubs and anybody that would have me.
Right. Just
talking about goal setting or time management or motivation or interpersonal communication, whatever book I had read latest, you know. So, and then I started teaching a little community college course, and I was earning literally $15 a class for doing that. And I remember one day they hired me to speak to the entire faculty of this community college, which was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And they paid me $100, and I thought, dude, I have arrived.
Yeah.
I made $100 for a speech. I am knocking it out of the park. Wow.
And how old were you at that
time? It's a long road. I was 30.
Oh, okay. Well, you've certainly. Go ahead.
Thank you. Now I'm 69 next month, and I'm playing rock and roll and singing in nightclubs with my wife, singing with me, and I play guitar. And we've been doing that for about 6 years, and we do that once a month. And I'm still flying around the world and giving speeches for high fees and having a wonderful time doing that. I've been inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame by NSA, the National Speakers Association, inducted into the Sales and Marketing Hall of Fame by Top Sales World over in London and Paris. I ride motorcycles on twisty mountain roads, and I run mountain trails 3 days a week to stay in shape. Life is good. I've been blessed. Thank you, Lord. And come on along. It's fun.
Now, you're a man after my own heart. I'm a guitar player myself. I used to play rock and roll, but now I'm a bluegrasser. You ever played Bluegrass?
Oh, love Bluegrass, absolutely. Osborne Brothers.
Yeah.
Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me.
That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, got it. There you go.
It was Bluegrass that really taught me the fretboard. Rock and roll was good, but Bluegrass really taught me the fretboard. But anyway, let's talk about your books here. You had your first one. Well, you wrote 16, but 2 of them, of course, went international bestsellers, and the first one is Relationship Selling. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I came up with that concept back in the 70s. I was frustrated that all the sales jobs I had were intimidating to me. I did it, I made calls on people I didn't know and gave a sales pitch that I'd memorized, just like I was told to do. And I hated it, absolutely hated it. And I didn't do well. Well, duh. If you hate something, you're not going to do well.
Right.
So I started reflecting on that because I thought, I don't have the sell gene, so I can't make sales. And that was wrong, but that's the conclusion I had reached. And a man that became my mentor, a man named Harold Gash, who worked for Earl Nightingale's organization, heard me give a presentation at a JC's meeting, a Junior Chamber of Commerce meeting one day. He said, Jim, you've got a lot of potential, more potential than any young man I've ever known. I said, get out of here. He said, no, I'm serious. He said, you should be selling these motivational materials from Earl Nightingale. I said, Harold, I can't sell. He said, you're absolutely wrong. I saw you today. You can sell. And so I started representing these motivational recordings and going business to business. And sure enough, I was making sales and having a ball. And so I started reflecting on selling, and I was thinking, you know what? I've been approaching it all wrong, and the people who taught me were wrong in the way they were teaching. And so I came up with the concept that I later called relationship selling, and those words weren't used together at the time. I met Dr. Tony Alessandra, who was a college professor in California, and he and I became best friends and then partners, and we're still best friends today, even though our businesses are separate. And we co-authored an audio album called Relationship Strategies that was on personality types, first ever audio album on personality types. Think about that, first ever. Mm-hmm. And today everybody and his brother and sister teaches it. But anyway, that really became a huge hit, sold $2.5 million worth in the first, $3.5 million worth in the first 2 years it was out. And that kind of put me and Tony on the map. And so when Tony and I went back to separate businesses, I wrote the book Relationship Selling, and it took off. And today everybody says, oh, yeah, that's what we do, relationship selling. But when I started with it, people said, you can't use those words in the same sentence.
Fascinating.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Well, that's neat. It's an honor to get to talk to someone who's done that, because I know these books. I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't read them, but I have heard of them. And
Thank you.
That's neat to be able to talk to you about that.
Well, last month I was month before last, I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm part of an outfit called Thrive15.com, Thrive15.com. And they're an online learning source that has about 1,000 15-minute mentor lessons, and I'm one of the mentors. And while I was there, I was talking with them about my concept of relationship selling, and a woman named Deidre Dieterman, who's part of their team, she's a publicist, she said, I was required to read that book in my college class.
No kidding.
Yeah, how cool is that?
That is cool. I love that. Now, when you've spoken to so many people, some of these events probably just are lost in your mind because you've done so many. But when I ask you what event sticks out in your mind where you really felt like you made an impact to the audience, what comes to your mind?
Wow. Well, for 6 years, I was an in-house consultant to the Tulsa agency of Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance. Mm-hmm. The general agent was Joe Willard, and Joe said, Jim, I like what you did in a recent seminar for us. Would you be interested in moving into our penthouse offices? If we gave you a corner office, would you office with us? And I said, well, I don't want an insurance career. He said, I know, but you got to office somewhere. and I'd like to have your influence on my team. And so I'll give you an office in return for your consulting services. And I said, man, you got it. And I moved in, and for 6 years, I had this luxurious office with a full-time cook at my disposal. I could actually have meals prepared and served in my office. And I worked with Joe's agency, and we were able to take it from a sleepy little almost shut down agency to President's Award twice in a 5-year period out of 125 agencies. And so that was probably the biggest of all.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, how long ago was that?
Oh, Lord, that was ages ago. That started in 1977.
Okay.
And went through 82. And then since then, there have been a number of others, but that one still is the most dramatic and most satisfying of all.
Now, I don't imagine you're ready to retire anytime soon, because it sure sounds like you're having a ball.
Absolutely. You remember, some people will remember a TV show called Dobie Gillis, and there was a character on that show who was a beatnik, which was basically a bum teenager named Maynard G. Krebs. And every time somebody would say the word work around him, he'd go, work, and panic. Well, I'm that way about the word retirement. Retirement? No. Heck no.
Oh, I don't blame
Retirement, disengage and begin the death process. I ain't ready for that.
Oh, yeah. A guy's got to do something. You might as well keep doing what you love.
That's right. And, as long as I've got my guitar, my mountain trails, my motorcycle, and my speaking, then I'm a happy guy.
I can
I don't know if you can hear this, but listen carefully. Could you pick that up?
I could.
Yep. It's just my guitar is hanging on the wall right behind my desk. So anytime I've got a spare moment, I grab that and I start picking and smiling.
That's awesome. Real quickly, I want to make sure people watch your TEDx video. What was the title of it? How to Believe in Yourself?
Yes. And they can go to cathcart.com, and it's linked right there on my website. So is Thrive 15. If they want to check that out, they can get a 30-day free ride by going to thrive15.com/acorn.
Okay. And then that's the other thing I want to make sure people knew how to get a hold of you, and that would be cathcart.com. Would that be correct?
Yeah. And I'm so easy to find. I'm all over Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm out there.
Okay. Well, shoot, Jim, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. And
it's a joy.
It is a joy, and I appreciate you giving us your time. It's been fascinating, and I'm going to go watch that TEDx video.
Dynamite. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Andy.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.